And we're on.
It's on.
Wait, count them. 1, 2. Yeah, all three amigos. Right here.
One of
Can I
those
get a head
tres.
count? Over here.
Guess who's up on YouTube now, guys?
Who's that?
Us.
No way.
This is our normal podcast.
Hey, welcome to another episode of This Our Normal Podcast. I am your host, Saul Jones, and I'm sitting here this week, you're never going to believe this one, with my audio engineer, Joel Cowan,
Hey guys, thank you, Saul.
and my co-host, Brian Hood.
That is me.
Don't call him Sweatshirt.
Yeah, don't do it.
What's going on, guys? Look how happy and excited I am.
So very. I can tell. Your body language is just all over you.
Real quick, before we get started, I just want to remind everybody to go to our website at thisisournormalpodcast.com. Everything you need to know about us is on there. And, links to Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iTunes. And you can hear the podcast on there as well. And then, of course, there's links to all our social media. Go follow us on everywhere at This Is Our Normal Podcast. And, of course, as always, this podcast is brought to you by Serenity Sober Living Housing down in South Orange County, California. If you're looking for sober living and you're in South Orange County, give us a message. Hit us the contact link on thisisournormalpodcast.com, and we will get you hooked up.
Highly recommended.
Extremely high recommend.
Yep.
Hi.
And lastly, we are up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
I read about that.
Welcome to the big show. YouTube's been calling. Finally answered that call.
Sheesh.
Finally answered it. So, what's up, guys?
What is up, guy?
Lots.
Who knows? Yeah, man.
Oh,
Been a
man.
hell of a week, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is our Three Amigos middle of the week episode of This Our Normal Podcast. We also do our Sunday episode where we have a guest come on the show, and we have a good time. But in the middle of the week, we do just the three of us, me, Joel, and Brian Hoodie. And that's what we're doing today. So, what did you guys prepare?
Oh, the usual.
I mean, I just saw that article I was talking about.
I do want to mention the article that you're talking about. What does it say?
What article?
Yeah, it was on Purdue Medical,
About
the pharmacy. It was talking about their family,
about the
family that
Oxycontin?
owns the Oxycontin.
Big Pharma.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I do want to talk about them. I want us all to be extremely knowledgeable on the topic before we get into it, because that's a hot one. But
Yeah.
Super hot.
we are going to be doing that one very soon. I liked that article. I appreciate you
Yeah, I
saying
just
it.
thought it should be mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If anybody's interested in how this epidemic really got going, go look up the Purdue family.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts when you start reading about it and get all the facts together.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
A lot.
I mean, first of all, their advertising, they said that oxycodone was not addictive.
Right. Oxycontin, but yeah.
Oxycontin, sorry.
Yeah.
Contin.
It's the Oxycodone's in the Oxycontin, so
Right. There's
Right.
oxycodone in the Oxycontin.
it's a derivative.
Yeah, you're correct.
You're a derivative.
I just took calculus.
Lucky.
It wasn't that fun.
I took calculus in high school.
I could have never.
Well, I'm really smart, and I'm.
That's weird.
I'm
good at times tables.
You know what I was kind of wanting to talk about today is like when I went into treatment and everything, I had, and I still do now, my family supported me so well through it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that was huge for me because, one, I was terrified of going in. I had pushed everybody away with, while I was using everything.
Right.
And for me, like, when I was growing up, I didn't do, like, summer camp. I didn't do, any group thing with other kids. I always tried to be an adult, and mainly because I was respected as an adult, as far as, not respected, but treated like an adult,
right.
In my family and stuff, which was, I loved. So I didn't ever want to go hang out with the other kids. At max, I'd have like one friend, I'd be a best friend, but like I couldn't do, you know what I'm saying?
Right. You grew up too fast.
I did.
You know what though? It showed when you came into my house, and I was like, this guy. I was like, why is he in my house?
I know, right?
Got a bunch of youngsters just causing trouble, and you're over there being responsible. I was like, what's wrong with this one? I'll figure it out. Give me some time.
But yeah, man, you know, I did grow up a little too fast, and but so what I noticed was when I also, well, that was another thing too. I was nervous, like college. I didn't want to go like to college and stay in a dorm and all that, because to me I was like, that's kid shit. Right?
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, I don't want to be a fucking kid. So
it's like growing up.
I'm a real boy.
yeah. Well, so what I did when I went into treatment, like that was almost my dormitory. You know what I mean? Like that was my dorm living.
Yeah.
And it was the time of my life. Like when I think back to it and talk about it, I mean, that was the best time of my life. Was treatment. It was the first time mobbing around with a group of guys, you know. But going into the situation, if I didn't have the support from like my parents, you know, my siblings, I would not have been able to stick it out in there because I was so terrified going in.
Right.
So when I originally went to treatment, I checked in. It was on like Thanksgiving Day, and it wasn't at Hope. It was at this place in Santa Ana, and I had found it myself online. Went and checked myself in, and apparently, I mean, it was a shithole.
Yeah,
right?
You don't say. You're telling me that you didn't find a place that was going to be structured and hold you accountable?
No, and
it was left up to you, and you didn't do that.
My family was hitting me up, and they were like, you know, asking me questions about the place, you know, and I'm kind of describing it to them, and there were like cockroaches in there, and it was just, they were asking me, was there like, what are you doing in there? I'm like, nothing. There's no problem. I just have a TV. I'm in my room, just hanging out. I love it. I'm loving it.
Of course.
Right, but I started to get nervous because like there was no doctor on staff. Like things just weren't looking right. Some of the people were coming through that like I think worked there, so it was almost like it was a detox, sober living / IOP, like
/ whatever they said.
Whatever they
that
decided.
day.
Yeah. And so when I was on the phone with my parents, or my sisters and my mom, you know, texting them, they were like, "This doesn't sound right." So they spent that Thanksgiving online, like researching, one, the place I was in,
oh gosh,
you know, and then two, after they saw where I was, researching places to take me. You know, left to myself, I would have just, there's no way I would have got sober in there, for one, because I don't,
right,
you know.
Well, that's my problem with those places. Like I've mentioned this before about the sober livings, the cheap little do whatever you want, no rules type places. It's usually the house managers selling the clients dope, and you know, it's just all around a bad situation. Unfortunately, you really kind of do get what you pay for in this industry. Yeah, and that's sad. You know, everyone should get equal treatment, but that's just not the way it works. I agree. It's not the way our world works. But
obviously, yeah. Well, but see, that's that kind of thinking pisses. Not saying you're thinking that way. That kind of stuff.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't agree with it, but that's just kind of how it goes.
That right there, that last word, I fucking hate that shit. That's just kind of how it goes. You know, fuck that. Let's do something about it, guys.
I agree with that.
It's kind of like not all treatment centers are the same, and how do we get them to be, you know, better class and allow people to go to these places and feel like they're okay and actually are getting the help they need.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I don't have the answers. That's part of the thing about this podcast. It's like we're searching for them together. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. And that's why we like people's feedback.
Absolutely.
We use all the help we can get. I just wish. I think a really good start would be that if all major rehabs and good treatment centers accepted Medi-Cal, man, because that's what most people who are on the streets have, or if they eat, most of them even don't, but it's so easy to get that it would make, you know, treatment readily accessible to almost everyone. So
each insurance company, and I actually learned this from Ben, your cousin, is each like treatment facility and stuff, to get you insurances to accept them, they have to be licensed through different types of licenses, you know, not the state, they're not the ones saying you have to have it, not the, you know, government at all. It's the insurance companies. And part of the reason why they're so strict on it and so rigid is because of all that insurance fraud, where people that were doing referrals, getting other people into treatment, were taking part of their bonus that they get for having somebody stay and giving it to people to come into a treatment center for at least 15 days. Yeah. And then those people would leave after 15 days, go use again or something, and just hop back into another
body brokering. Yeah, it's actually human trafficking, and you can be charged with that if you get caught doing it. But
as you should.
You know, and it's, you know, they're cracking down here and there, but it's not.
Well, the problem is they're cracking down in the wrong way. They're hurting us instead of hurting the people fucking doing this. So now they require all these extra licenses, and then they don't accept all the insurance companies, and now people that only have Medi-Cal or Medicaid, they can't get into certain places, and it's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
People are dying, man. This isn't a game anymore. It's not a game anymore. People are dying. It's an epidemic. It's a pandemic.
It is a pandemic.
And there needs to be something in place where there's real treatment facilities. I'm going to say not even privatized. It's time for our government to take action here. This is a time where it's if the government saw this many people dying from another country, bombing us or something,
or from anything else,
we'd go blow them up.
Period.
My point is, we would literally go to war.
Yeah.
They would, you know what I'm saying?
It's kind of funny you say that because, instead of exploding, we're really imploding.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and it's funny you say that because these drugs aren't coming from our country.
Guess where they're coming from? Guess where opium comes from, guys?
Several different places.
Mainly the Middle East.
Yeah.
Happens to be where we're at war. I know a lot of
interesting.
That's not why. No.
No. Did I say that?
No.
Oh.
No. Never mind. Go ahead.
I know a lot of Marines and soldiers. Or wait, are you saying is that not where?
Nope.
Where do you think? Where are you saying?
What?
Well, I know a lot of Marines and soldiers that have been over in those countries in the Middle East fighting this war going on, and they said they literally do patrols and stuff, walking through field after field after field, and they're not allowed to damage them. We're not allowed to damage those fields. I wonder why. You know.
And just to be clear, what fields are we talking about?
Poppy
fields.
Poppy fields. Just making sure.
And poppy is what opium as well as morphine comes from. There's two derivatives of the poppy plant. It makes morphine, it makes opium. And those break down into all of the hydrocodones, oxycodone, OxyContin. Opiates. Every type of opiate.
And they're saying the major hub for this is in the Middle East?
I know that there is a hub for it there. I don't know if that's the major one, but I know it's pretty big.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that it is. I know there's a few other locations that
That's an interesting connection.
Right?
Yeah.
But what infuriates me is I don't understand why our government hasn't. This is the first time I've ever heard government candidates running for office even mention this pandemic.
Well, here's the thing, man. You got to think about the whole war on drugs.
What a joke.
Right. Well, everything is about money, like we've talked about before. Right. Our privatized prisons and jails staying full makes a lot of people a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a huge incentive to keep that going.
Yep. That's why it was so hard to make marijuana legal in so many states. They couldn't make it legal because there were literally prison unions fighting against it, like the prison guard unions fighting against it because that's how they stay
their
employed.
livelihood. Yeah,
So I mean, I think at this point we need to figure out a way to get our government officials to realize it's time they step in, and we stop waiting for private companies to open up treatment centers that are good enough for us. No, they need to step in. They need to open up good treatment facilities that are available to anyone.
Yeah.
So creating some kind of standard.
Yeah. Or just creating something right now.
Yeah,
equal opportunity. It's just like housing or getting a job. Like, we all have a right to live. We're people. Right. We're drug addicts. That doesn't make us any worse than anyone else. What we choose to do with our lives and our decisions that we make can dictate that. But at the end of the day, we're people. We're someone's kids, we're someone's brother, sister, we're family, we're people. And we all deserve to have some sort of chance at getting straight. And that's just my opinion, but I think that I'm right.
I agree, man. I mean, you've talked before about how hard it was for you to get into a treatment facility when you were begging for it.
Yeah. That was with being able to, at that time, thank God, being able to afford an insurance policy.
Right.
Let's not forget about the people that can't.
Yeah.
I was lucky and blessed enough to be able to afford that, but it still took me a few months. Like, that's crazy.
Well, let me tell you what happens to people that can't afford it. That can't afford a insurance package. You get at max. You would have to go to, first of all, a hospital, just your local hospital emergency room, right? Check in. You got to tell them, hey, look, I'm a drug addict. You must be withdrawing, by the way, when you get in there. And two, unless you're detoxing off of benzos or alcohol, because that's the only ones that's dangerous.
You can die from,
they're not going to even keep you. They're going to say, sorry, we can't help you. If they do keep you, it's going to be 3 days max. And they're only getting you to where you're stable, to where you're not going to die. Not in any state where you're even done detoxing. And then what you have to do is from there, once you've been cleared medically by a hospital, you have to contact these state-funded treatment facilities that you have to basically test clean before you go in there.
Right.
You have to be already clean before you get in. And these facilities, it's a 2-week waiting period before you can get in. And by that time, I mean,
which, as we all know, 2 weeks with having just detox, you're still going through withdrawals, by the way, at that point, typically, no matter what you're on. And you're not going to just stop. Most people, 99% of people, drug addicts, are not going to have the willpower or strength to just not go out and relapse.
Absolutely not. And mainly because, I mean, and anytime I hear willpower, I want to go on my spiel, which I will in a second. But what I was going to say is it's because this is an impulse control disease. That means what we're struggling with, one, isn't substance. It's the impulses.
Sure.
So in 2 weeks, with nothing trying to help us train our impulse is going to change from now I want to get clean and stop doing what I've been doing for the last however many years to I want to do it again.
Yeah. Well, let me clarify.
That's how I've been.
By what? Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with that. Let me clarify by what I meant about willpower, though. Yeah. What I mean is, there's been times when I've been able to have shit in my face, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Right. And then there's other times where just not. You know what I mean? That's my definition of willpower. It's not necessarily I can make a decision to not use, or I understand that I have this impulse control disease. I wasn't arguing that.
No, I know that. Yeah.
I guess you're kind of wondering, like, in moments of, like, when you're stronger and when you're feeling weaker, you know, you're more susceptible.
100%.
No,
there's lots of variables that go into it, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, what I was trying to say is that the issue isn't, you know, whether whether you had willpower at the time. Like you said, there's been times where you could do it and times where you couldn't. Yeah, it has nothing to do with your willpower. That's with just your impulse decided right then that it wasn't you were impulsive to not do it, or you were impulsive to do it. I
think the longer that I have away from it, my quote willpower is stronger, is what I mean by that.
In my experience, I do believe that's possible, because the willpower, like I said, comes from like the cerebral cortex, your frontal lobe, and our impulse control disease comes from the midbrain, two separate parts. When we use drugs, we numb the prefrontal cortex. So the longer you have without numbing the prefrontal cortex, where all of your willpower characteristics and morals come from, the more capable I am of making better decisions. Absolutely. Gotcha. In my experience, like when I went through Hope by the Sea, when you were my house manager, I went through Hope. I removed the substance. I stayed at Hope for 90 days. And then, I did some therapy. I did some group stuff like that. But then when I left the treatment center, I was a little more capable of not using, and I didn't use for a little bit there. But I went straight from that treatment center to renting a room from somebody, right? And then and going right back to work. Right. And so everything was the same, except now I didn't have the substance. What ended up happening with me is I was able to hold it off, will it for a little bit, and then and then the minute that an impulse came up, I mean, not the first one, but what I do, I acted on it. This time around, I went through Las Vegas. I went out there to Solutions. I stayed 82 days, right? I was working on all this stuff. After 82 days clean, boom, I act on an impulse. And what I've noticed is, like, then when I went through, I stayed another 100 days, right?
Yeah, you were gone forever, dude.
7 months.
And you talked about moving to England. I was like, where the fuck did Saul go?
Well, I started wanting to change everything, but the key thing that's worked for me is literally like okay, this house that I work in, right? I make sure I get up, I'm making my bed every day. I'm getting up, I do the dishes. You know what I mean? It's retraining those small things for me has helped kind
routine and structure. I've noticed that helps as well for myself.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, so I understand what you're saying.
What about you, Joel? What have you done differently?
Oh, we know he has his routine.
So Joel's got a routine.
I have a routine.
My question is, did you have these routines before you went through treatment and everything? Have you changed something about them?
Ever since I was actually diagnosed with bipolar, my routines have changed significantly. I think
one day I clean a lot, the other day I stay in bed. It's weird.
No,
I used to brush from the right to left,
and then my cleanliness got more out, less. I got less cleanly and started leaving things around the room a little bit more, and it got worse when I got addicted to cocaine. So
I would imagine.
So things just kind of got out of control.
You had a bunch of stuff that started to be cleaned, and then over different. I was at one of the houses yesterday, talking to some of the guys, and we were going around, checking to make sure everybody had done their chores and everything. And one of the rooms, had a bunch of, it was messy. We had to tell them, hey, you guys got to clean this up. And they were gonna, and their substance of choice was meth, and they were all joking around, at the time. And I said, "Is everybody sober right now? It feels a little methy in this room." Right. And then I was like, if I come back in here and there's just a bunch of clean spots with dirty spots all around, I'm like, I'm piss testing all of you.
Although I have to admit, there were times when I was using cocaine and I would just clean the whole house. So I don't know.
Well, I had this, my family still jokes with me about when they'll call me and they'll be like, hey, what are you doing? Or they'll go, hey, you doing some laundry? Because that was my thing. I was always doing laundry when I was on meth.
Hand washing.
I was just hand washing laundry.
All of it. Kitchen sink. Trash bag.
Back good old days.
Prison laundry style.
I wanted to go back into the treatment facilities, the state funded thing.
Yeah.
So after the 2-week waiting period and you get into, one of these places or whatever, I have seen there's that Salvation Army program, and all the people that I've seen go through that, I mean, they fucking stay sober.
All the people that go all the way through it.
Right.
Yeah, because most people don't make it.
Here's another little trick to that one though. Because they put you to work, right? Which is a good thing and a bad thing. But if you get injured, or you can't work all of a sudden, they kick you out of the program.
Yeah, that's... I don't agree with that.
I don't either. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Why we need programs that are legit, guys.
Yeah.
And not need, it has to happen.
The level
now.
of care that we've gotten with insurance policies is so far superior to most of the state-funded or county-run programs.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous, man.
And... It's just not enough though. Even
even what we have sometimes isn't enough.
No,
everything needs to improve.
Dude, the insurance. Didn't you say you got kicked out of there after a
my
month?
My insurance company that I mentioned before, it took me several months to even get the policy with the back and forth. Once I did, they promised me 6 months of treatment, which at the time I was court ordered to. So I was like, yo.
I don't know. See, I don't get how they promised you that. I believe you.
Well,
I don't know how they can promise that when it's...
They probably can't, but they do. They'll say whatever they have to sell something. They're salesmen,
Oh,
They're
I
meeting
know.
quotas. But no, so they promised me 6 months of treatment. Said, yeah, we're going to cover up. Well, I guess they might have said up to 6 months.
Oh, there it is.
That's
you
where they get
Joel?
you, because so here's if for anyone who's listening that doesn't know already, when you go to treatment and your insurance is covering for it, they receive notes from your therapist, your case manager, all of that, and it's if you're doing too well too fast, you get dropped. That's what happened to me. So I was there for...
How ridiculous is that? It should have nothing to do.
Yeah, I'm
with
all
how well
fixed.
you're doing.
It's been 23 days. I'm all good to go.
Right.
That's so after
you're not
30
even
days.
fully detoxed, by the way, at that point.
No, not even. That's when the fog starts lifting after 30 days for me, at least, when I'm on a good run. But yeah, so after 30 days, they dropped me, man. And I was blessed enough to have the treatment center that I went through scholarship me, because they knew that I was there and doing the thing for real, that I wanted the treatment. I wasn't just there to fuck around and take a vacation. So they scholarship me, man. And then they couldn't after a couple months. So I essentially was scholarship for close to 2 months.
And how much do you think that was?
It cost them?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No. How much would that have been if you paid cash?
Dude,
what were they scholarship?
I don't know, $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
I think about
when
for most places.
When I got scholarship at Hope by the Sea, it was $30,000 a month. My family, thank God, put down $10,000 for the first 30 days. Hope said we'll work with you after that. After I got that 30 days up, they said, we don't normally do this at a place like this, but we'll scholarship you as long as you want to stay. I got to stay 90 days there. That's an $80,000 scholarship.
Right. Yeah, same place I went, and actually they weren't lying. They don't do that for many people, but me and you,
well,
kind of a big deal.
Am I right?
So yeah, they dropped me, and then they scholarshiped me, and then they actually offered me a job after. They're like, look, we can't keep you here anymore, but what we can do, if you want to work here, we can try to fly you under the radar and keep you, in a sober living technically.
Yeah.
But it's just a nightmare, man. It's a mess. The entire industry is just so polluted with toxicity and scandal. It's nuts.
Well, and here's my thing with the insurance is kicking you out after so many days, is that the better you're doing and the better you're progressing doesn't necessarily mean you're better or that you're ready to go out.
No.
What I found with me is the longer I am able to stay in some sort of form of treatment, including sober living, the longer I have to have some sort of accountability while I'm trying out these coping mechanisms they teach us. Dude, when you learn anything new, have you ever tried to play sport? I know you played soccer, Joel. When you first started playing soccer, were you great at it?
No.
No, you weren't.
Did your team drop you after
Wasn't-
30 days? You're doing too well. See you later, pal.
I wasn't born like Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo.
I mean, he is now,
Name
but
drop.
that was a lot of practice.
Right.
But my
practice.
point is practice, and to be able to practice these things when you're being housed somewhere that you're being drug tested and accountable, and there's people coming, seeing you. For me, that's the better I've done. You know.
Well, 30 days just, I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like enough.
It's not.
In my opinion, at all. Because for me, after those 30 days are up, that's when I'm out of the fog, and that's when I'm actually ready to start getting down to, what's really wrong with me and start working on that.
Absolutely.
And I want to add one more thing, which is that you're talking about practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think practice comes with
Talking about practice, man.
Practice.
Not the game. Not the game that I. Okay.
And I think practice comes with interest. So you're talking about getting well, and if you're interested in getting well, it's just gonna follow suit with what's in line with your beliefs and thoughts and everything like that.
Absolutely.
And feelings.
Mhm.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. It's like one thing that really upsets me too is like no insurance covers sober living.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind because to me that's the biggest key is once you've learned everything, now pay for me to be able to go somewhere where I'm still being accountable and I can practice this shit
Which,
out.
by the way, is a fraction of what rehab costs.
Oh,
It's pennies. It's to them. I mean, it's nothing compared to what going through a treatment center costs.
No, where they make all the money is in the detoxes. In the detoxes, it's what is it, $1,500 a day, something like that usually.
Sometimes more.
Yeah.
I've heard of up to $3,000 a day.
Yep. And to me, that's I think that's why I feel like because it's privatized and they're making money off that.
Yeah.
I almost feel like they know that, so it's like we're not going to pay for you to do sober living because we want you to relapse. Then you come back through our shit.
Yep. Well, and never mind.
No,
Lost it.
oh no, you're fine. Cam, the last few episodes we have not been very funny on here. I wish I had a joke or story to tell, but I don't.
I think I told you the color joke.
Okay, let's hear this. Joel's hilarious.
All right,
Color
all right.
joke.
Let's go.
What
He's
what
fun.
color is more afraid than all other colors?
What color, Joel?
A Fred.
This is orange because it might get eaten.
All right.
All right. Orange, you glad he didn't tell that joke?
I love you, man.
Too late.
I love you. Stop trying to cut it out. We're leaving that in, Joel.
Yeah.
all right.
Control Alt Delete.
We are trying to have. I was supposed to have Staff Sergeant McDade, 101st Airborne, call in this week, but we kind of botched. Our internet was messed up one of the days, so we're gonna get that coming pretty soon. He's gonna be calling from Hawaii, maybe
Looking
next
forward
week
to
or
it.
something. Yeah, and so we'll have an episode with that. But you guys have anything else you want to share?
I'm good.
No, man. It's
Well,
stopping point.
yeah, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Check us out on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, leave comments on YouTube, as well as do the same on iTunes, please.
Please and thank you.
And thank you for tuning in, guys. Agent Papa, take us away.
Hey little Sally, what you got in that sack? You're looking tough, like you ain't coming back. Hey little Sammy, when are you going to fly?